This is the story of us. One of my favorite topics. Me and you.
Start with that. Just like you said it. This is the story of us. One of my favorite topics. Start it like that.
All right. This is a story of us. I can't say it when you tell me to say it.
Hi, I'm Dave Tina.
And I'm Angie Tina.
Welcome to the 10-Year Marriage Podcast.
On this podcast, we answer the question, what if your marriage came with a 10-year contract?
How would you show up if there was a deadline in your relationship? What would your life look like in the future? And how would you recommit every day?
Come with us on this journey as we navigate as partners, entrepreneurs, and parents in this big life we've created. All right, what are we talking about today?
So I think it's important that people know more about us, especially how we met. Now, I like to joke and say the only girl I ever sexually harassed was the girl that I married.
Yep.
The joke around it is I wasn't really technically your boss because I was a broker of record of a real estate company, which isn't a boss. You're an independent contractor, but I never really dated realtors before for many reasons.
Same.
So at the time, my father was a general manager of a company. Actually, he was a broker. We have the same name. And what was happening is people started coming to me thinking I was him. And so I ended up giving people advice and kind of playing his role, not on purpose. And people were starting to say, the owner of the company was saying, maybe you should get your own brokerage. So my dad said, why don't you sit in on this interview I'm doing today? And I remember it like it was yesterday. He was behind the desk. I sat next to him to the left. And in walks this mega team I had heard of, and
There was three of us at that time, right?
I think it was you, Jillian, her mother, maybe someone else was in the room?
No, it was just us three.
It was you three. You were on the right.
Yep.
She was in the middle, and her mom was like behind her.
Yep.
Jillian and my dad actually did most of the talking. And I'm just watching it, and I was like, oh, what I heard about this team, whatever. But I was like, who is this young girl? And I actually said to my dad after the interview, he goes, what'd you think? I said, I don't know about them, but
the
young one
cute.
with the chubby face is cute.
Yeah.
You've always been gorgeous.
I was definitely chunkier.
But your face was bigger. Not like you've never been a fat a day of your life.
No, I know.
Even when we were pregnant.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it was quote unquote, the chubby one is cute.
No, with the chubby face.
Oh, that makes it so much better.
Your cheekbones were just like really
not defined.
Not as defined as they are now.
Oh,
you're aging backwards. Like you're getting more refined.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, but immediately I was like, this girl. And then immediately after, it took you a minute. How long did it take for you to come by?
Gosh, when we first did the interview, it was a while.
It's like a year.
I think it was like a year.
So we got introduced to each other. And then by the time you came to the company, I was already running my own branch at another place. But I would be there all the time because I lived near there. Obviously, my dad was running that one. I was running a different one. So I'd see you. And you were on my radar.
Yep.
And I was dating a bartender from John Cutter.
Yep. And I was dating a man that owned a tanning salon in the same parking lot as the bar that your girlfriend worked at.
Yeah. I actually remember him hitting on my girlfriend during the day with his hat to the side.
Perfect sense.
And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And he's like, he hits on all the girls. He was the one who
that
said
would make perfect sense.
He said he was 31, he was 40 or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's where I was at that time. I was dating a guy that told me he was 9 years younger than he actually was. And I didn't find out until his birthday, and somebody had said something, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And he was like, oh, well, I told you, but then I didn't want to tell you the truth.
Found out he had a kid and whatnot.
It was a whole thing.
Great body, butterface. You don't usually hear that about a guy, but
same with your girlfriend.
Anyway, so we would do this flirting thing in the office, right? I don't know why. I felt like you were vibing me, and I was
totally vibing you.
Yeah.
I would pull up to work. And I would see your Range Rover in the parking lot and be like, okay, I gotta get fixed. And it was weird because I didn't, you weren't the type of guy I ever dated. I dated the same looking type of person for the longest time.
Basically Chippendale models and whatnot.
Yeah, right? With hair and,
Why do you gotta bring hair into this?
Well, I'm just saying, you were the first bald guy I ever dated.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously you were the one and I dig it.
Yep.
But anyways, I would get excited when I would see your Range Rover in the parking lot, and then I'd go in, and it wasn't until me and my business partner were sitting in an office, and this other agent came in, and she said something, and she like kind of got a little dirty, and she was like, I have to come clean. And I was like, and she's fully married and everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just got to tell you, like, there's something about Dave that, like, I mean, I just picture him like pinning me up against the wall. And,
You never told me all this. She said all this?
Well, she said something of the sort. Or maybe this is what I was thinking.
Oh, interesting.
And then I was like, oh, that's weird because I think that too.
I thought you were like, she was like, I kind of have a crush on Dave. And you
Something.
were like, yeah,
she was
me
saying,
too.
yeah.
Oh, she was going the whole way. You never told me all that.
Well, I don't know how far she went, but yes, that's the first time I ever admitted to anybody.
Somebody got your business card, and I was like, this girl's hot. But I was dating the other girl.
Are we going to go there?
What?
What'd you do with that business card?
I didn't do anything with that. But we can tell that other story. I think it's worth sharing.
I don't know what story you're talking about.
The one when you sent me the picture?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
I was going
right.
to, yeah, okay.
So I was into you, but then you broke up with that guy. I was still dating. I was in like a really horrible relationship. And you went on dates with two people that I knew. And it was pissing me off, like really mad. I don't know why. And I shouldn't be feeling this way because I was dating someone. And my dad knew. You got to love my father. He knew I was unhappy. And he knew I had like a little crush on you. And he never told me. He didn't say that you had interest in me until...
you cut it off.
I cut it off with her. But before that, I'll never forget. I was in my house, that one story. You want to talk about ghetto? I didn't have a pool. It was hot out that day. And I was drinking like, not a beer because I don't drink beer. It was like some kind of like flavored
seltzer
like malt,
or something. Yeah.
Bullshit. And I was hosing myself down every like 30 minutes laying out.
On that daybed that you had.
On that awesome
wooden
daybed.
daybed. Yeah.
That daybed could tell stories.
I'm sure
you
it could.
call, and for some reason I had put your not for some reason I put your number in my phone. So when you called, I knew exactly who it was, and I answer. I go, and I remember this like yesterday. I'm like, hey, and what did you say?
I said I locked myself out of my office. No, you said
what was the first?
No, I thought.
No, you forget everything.
I thought you knew.
You said, hey, this is Angie. Angie. I said, Angie who?
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing exactly who you were. And you were like, I locked myself out of the office. And I jokingly said, you didn't have to lock yourself out of the office just to make up an excuse for calling me. And you actually did lock yourself out of the office. Yeah.
I really did.
And so,
I wasn't just calling you for that.
No, not even a little bit. And even before I found this out, I remember I was changing my shirt in that fishbowl office a different time.
After
at
hours.
like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I hadn't shaved my back in like ages. I look like a freaking gorilla. And you, as the shirt was going off, I look up and in from the gym, you're coming. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm taking my shirt. And then I actually said to you.
I think that's when I knew you actually liked me.
Because
you were like embarrassed.
I was like, of course.
For real. Yeah, you were like, of course. Out of all the people that would walk in, it's you. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, so I called you and then I knew. I was like, let's hang out.
You called me.
Oh, we went to
You
lunch.
wanted to hang out. Then you stood me up 3 times. And then we went on our first date.
So in all fairness to me.
I don't buy it.
In all fairness to me, the relationship with the girl that I was dating was like this weird, like trying to cut it off. And so when you invited me to that Bob Marley thing, she was going to.
Oh, that would have been awkward
very,
for you.
Very. Not Bob Marley. It was like Ziggy Marley.
No, yeah, it was reggae night or something.
Then the other time, I think we had hooked up, me and her. It was like, you know, like you're ending a relationship, but you still hook up. Like, and I was like, for some reason, I didn't want to go on a date with you until it was like done. I was like, let me take her to Mon Ami, because at the time, the guy I grew up with who moved me out here, Eddie, he was a waiter there, and he always hooked it up. And we had like kind of like an unspoken agreement that he would just take care of everything and I would just juice the shit out of him. We ended up going on this date. It was going so well. Like you were like, I'll never forget, you're like, I fly planes and I salsa dance or something like that. And I was like,
First
okay.
I didn't look like that.
And I'm like, before you said salsa dancing, I said, hey, I want to get salsa lessons. And I'm like, I've always wanted to go to Tony Robbins conference. And you're like, well, I've been to one and I salsa dance. And finally you looked over at me and said,
I I was like, did you do your research or did you talk to somebody or something like that?
Yeah, because
it was just everything I said we had in common.
And I said, listen, honey, I don't do research on anybody. Don't, think you're that special. Like
Yeah.
I did recon on you.
We went through a lot. We drank at the time, and we went through a lot of wine.
Drove back, and this is where I got awkward. Drove back to the office because that's where we met.
Yep.
So this is kind of like Hitch, the movie. All the shit that worked on other girls
Never
didn't
worked
work
on
on
me.
you. Like none of it. All my moves, like my accent, every girl loved. You hated it. You still do, I think. And then the move when we were in the car, and you were getting into your car, I looked at you and I'm like, this is such a cheesy ass move. I don't know why I said this. But
You want to make out with me.
you want to make out. I know you want to make out just to like break the ice. It worked like a charm. And then we're making out and there's no
weird.
tongue. Like there is this hesitant tongue.
Not from me, there was no tongue. From you, there was plenty.
I mean, who
Your
makes
tongue
out
was
with
enough for both of us.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. It was the most awkward kiss
It's horrible.
either one of us have ever had.
Horrible.
We kind of looked at each other like, that was weird.
Which was so weird because it was such a great run up to have
totally.
like a.
And we were connecting and we were like having such a good conversation. I remember even after dinner, we went to the bar and got another drink because we didn't want the night to end. We were out for like 4 or 5 hours or something.
It was amazing. Even after that, I remember calling my dad going, the kiss was awkward
Terrible.
as hell. I was like, but I think this is the one. I said it like that quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we didn't talk for a couple weeks.
No, it was a couple weeks. It was a couple days. And
Felt like a couple weeks.
and then you called me.
I did.
Yeah, you've always broke the ice.
I did. I was like, you know what? Everybody's telling me not to call you, to wait for you to call me because like it would be too needy or too
play the
whatever.
game.
And I'm like, I don't want to play this fucking game. I said, I like you. We're either doing this or we're not doing this. And you were like, great. I like you too.
And
I
then-
don't really know how that'll happen.
No,
but-
then we joked about the kiss. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to name you Hesitant Tongue. And we started talking. Our texts back then were incredible, right?
Yep.
And so and then we had these like, I remember one day I'm like, send me a picture of, I was so in the dating world at the time. It was right when people started sending nudes and shit. And I had managed to get, it sounds so sketchy. My daughters, please don't watch this. And I'd get girls to send me like pictures, right?
Yeah. I
And I'm like,
saw a few of those pictures after we ended up being together, but go ahead.
there may be 1 or 2 pictures of me out there, but hey,
I'm sure there's plenty.
yeah, that guy he's been dead for a while. I said, send me this picture. And I was at work. I'll never forget this. And you're like, I sent it.
No, you begged me. I was like, I don't do that.
Yep.
And I would not stop. So finally I was like, motherfucker, I will send you a picture.
So you send me a picture. Can I please?
Yes, fine, go ahead.
This is when I knew, like, I already knew you were the one, but like, this was so perfect. I was like, I love her even more. He sent me the pic, and we hadn't slept together yet. And I just was like, holy shit, she sent me a pic. I was in the middle of an interview. I did the fastest interview with an agent I've ever done. I was just like, get the hell out of here. I'm done. Sure, you want to come? Get out of here. And I was in a fishbowl too. So everyone can see my computer screen, right? And it's old school. You sent it to my email.
Yeah.
So like I had to like move my whole desk and computer so that people wouldn't see it. So it just looked like some sketchy guy waiting to see a picture download. And in the subject line, you put, don't show, I'll kill you if you show this to anyone or something like that. And it's downloading pixel by pixel. And I'm like, what? And it was like a 500-pound woman with the biggest bush I've ever seen in my life.
Spread eagle.
Spread eagle. I was like, what a sense of humor on this one. I love her. I was like,
still to this day have never sent you a nude picture.
Yeah.
And I will never.
Which is probably smart. And that's one of the reasons why you're the one.
Yes.
Right?
Totally.
So what was weird is we broke more rules. So I think we maybe after like the third date, after we finally, third or fourth date, we slept with each other. We were together 2 weeks
After
straight.
that, yeah. So no, you came over to a party. It was like a going away party for a friend or something.
Stephanie.
And you stayed the night at that, and we didn't even like sleep together that night. You just stayed the night.
Yeah.
And from that day, I think we went like 4 or 5 days straight, like 24 hours. We would not, like there was no break. So I remember going to lunch at Pin Cow.
We went to that Thai place, yep.
And we were sitting there and it got awkward quick because both of us were like, ooh, we're spending way too much time together. This is weird. Like, this is too fast. Like, what's going on? We both left that lunch like...
No, I said, maybe we should sleep in different places tonight.
Yeah. And then it got weird.
No, then we...
It was weird for a minute. And then...
No, you had the worst memory.
I do.
It's terrible.
Well, tell me how
It's beautiful, actually, because you don't look behind. Like, you never break your neck looking in the past.
But you could tell me anything, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's great.
That's what happened.
It
No,
was.
we slept apart one night. We woke up the next day, and maybe lunchtime, you're like, hey, you call me. Again, you call me, and you're like, hey, you want to hang out? I'm like, yep. And from that point on,
we never slept in... I don't think from that point on, other than us being out of town, we've never slept in different beds.
God, when you know, you know.
Yep.
Right?
Totally.
This progresses quick.
Yeah.
Right? We are now going on vacations. I go back to where you're from.
Let's not forget the party right after we started dating. We went to a white party, and you had like all these girlfriends at the time because you were just always going out and hanging out.
Yeah, I wouldn't commit to anybody. I was known as the guy who was I was 31
never going to
years
get married.
Never going to get married.
Never going to have kids.
Yep.
And then even your friends would like walk up to me and be like, you realize he's my best friend, and like, if you get in our way. And I was like...
Yeah, when Christy pulled that shit on you, you were like, and then everyone was like, I cannot believe Dave is committing this fast to this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that 6 months went quickly.
So were you having any conversations on your end? Because I remember I was going to tell the story about me and my dad, but...
I mean, yes, I think, I don't know. I just remember before you proposed, I would literally like hold my steering wheel, and I would drive with one hand, my left hand on the steering wheel, and I would just picture the ring sitting on my hand. And I was like, this guy's going to propose. Like, I don't know. I guess once my dad met you and like my family met you, and they were like, wow, he doesn't like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. He doesn't.
Oh, I don't pedestal you.
Yes.
That's, I'm using my words.
Yes. And
Yeah.
all my friends were like, he's the one, because before that it would be like, I would walk all over people. And so they kind of knew. And then my dad was like, I've never seen anybody look at you the way he does. And I was like, all right.
So for those of you watching and not listening, although I am still a handsome man, I was a very handsome man in high school. So in college, I was very used to dating gorgeous women.
Yeah.
You cannot pedestal people, right?
Yeah.
And you're screwed. And that even came to fruition when we were at Stoney's. So we're line dancing. We need to dance more.
We used to dance all the time. We would either go salsa dancing or we would go country line dancing, like all the time.
Yeah.
Not that we dated long. We dated for 6 months. So it wasn't
before we were engaged, and a year before we got married. But we were at Stoney's line dancing, and you look up, you say to me, you go, that girl is staring at you. And she was dancing on the bar, with the assless
chaps and her beautiful body. I was like, huh. That's weird.
And I go, yeah, she's one of my exes. And you go, no way. Even you. She's gorgeous, right? Candace was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'll never forget. I went to get a drink, and she ran right over to me. And she's like, oh, who's that? I'm like, oh, that's my girlfriend. She goes, she's pretty. I was like, I don't know. I guess, bald, fat Italians are in right now. And she goes, worked on me. I was like, motherfucker, she's hitting on me right. She called me the next day.
They were coming out of the woodwork.
It's almost like they were testing us.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone started coming out of the woodwork with you too, right?
Yep. It was weird. It was just conversations, or like things would come up where it was almost testing, do you guys really want to be together?
Yeah. I kind of felt like it had to be like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the day that I got freaked out the most was the day I pulled my dad out of work. And it was like, I got to talk to you. Because I was starting to I didn't realize it at the time. It was starting to get me prepared for the future. But I didn't realize how much I had been protecting myself in all these relationships. Like having multiple girls on my phone. I wasn't a cheater. That's not my game. But always having options, right? Like escape routes, or, like those hatches that you could just escape. And so I started going, oh my God, this is the one. And it started bringing stuff up for me. And I felt myself almost getting ready to sabotage it. And
almost ready to sabotage it. Oh,
what?
You tried to sabotage it.
Did I?
Yes.
What'd I do? I forgot.
Well, hello, our first argument at the salsa place.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot that. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, we went to South Point. There was a Latin club or something, and we're kind of dancing, we're hanging out.
Man, you need to tell horrible stories.
Well, let me finish.
The minute we walk in, 5 Pitbull wannabes,
it
the singer.
It wasn't a minute.
The second I remember this, and they were like, to you. And I was like,
I couldn't
listen,
even see their eyes. They had sunglasses on.
I didn't know it was Pitbull night, guys. Right. And I was ready to throw down right then and there. We had to get pulled apart. We had to fight 5 people.
Yeah, it was not great.
Okay,
and then you left me in the club.
That's not what happened.
Okay.
So we start dancing.
Yeah.
I think I know how to dance every dance because I'm not a structural dancer, right?
You're not at all.
I got to go with the flow. I know you've been taking classes for so long. You're doing like all the moves. So you start dancing with this older guy, this old Spanish guy, like Cuban guy, and he's like twirling you. I'm like, harmless, fine. So I go pee. I come back and you're dancing with one of the Pitbull guys. And I go, fuck this.
And then you left me there.
You want to talk about Irish goodbyes?
Yeah.
I turned around. I was like, later. Walked out. I swear to God, this is how traumatized I was and where my brain was with like women. I had my ex on the phone. Like I was texting her already at the valet, getting ready to go. And I was like, I'm out. That's how much I was a runner. You know, we talk about the attachment styles. Yeah. I was definitely the avoidant in that, right? My truck pulls up and out comes this wild lady. Where are you going? I'm like, well, go back in there and dance with Pitbull. I'm out of here. Right?
Yeah, probably. I don't remember any of this, but okay.
Yeah, I remember
right.
Detailed.
Okay.
You jump in the car. We're driving back, and I remember I'm like punching my steering wheel. And I'm like, how dare you disrespect me? I can't believe it. Like, if you want to, like, all my shit was coming out. Man, what a child I was. I've come a long way. And you said to me, what? Do you remember what you said?
Yeah. I said, you can try to sabotage this all you want, and you can think that I'm going to run away from you and abandon you. And then I was just like, I'm not going anywhere.
You were like, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to this. I'm not. And I was just like, okay. I was like, you called me out so good. Like you dismantled me in 3 seconds. I was like, no one has ever called me out and said exactly what needed to be said. And that was like a turning point.
Totally.
Like, oh my God.
That was our first actual fight.
So after this, I go on this walk with my dad. And I'm a big like dates and numbers guy. And it was September 9th, 9/9/2009. And we're walking and I'm like, Pops, man, I don't want to screw this up. And he's like, then don't. You gotta love my father. So simple.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're right. Wise. And I text you right there. I'm like, you want to be my girl? And there was no hesitation. You're just like, yes. Mm-hmm. And this is how wild we were. I sold my house for cash, moved in with you, and we bought a dog together, Lily, who's outside.
Yep.
We bought together, and we weren't even engaged. Mm-hmm. We're insane. And then what did I do? I was like, all right, I'm going to buy this ring.
Well, I had no idea you were going to propose that soon. So we started looking at rings just casually.
Well, we were talking about being married.
Yeah.
Right.
But we were just looking at rings together, and it was just like there was no rush, whatever. And then you pretended like you were going to go to dinner.
Well, I bought the ring on so of course my dad, like old school Italian, we find an agent who it was a diamond dealer, and I'm picking out diamonds, and my dad's making deals, and he's the saver and I'm the spender, and I'm like, you can't let me spend a lot of money. And I was probably making 150, 200 at the time. And I was like, you cannot let me spend 20 grand. He ended up picking the nicest ring. I ended up spending all my money, and I didn't even have it for a day. And I'm like, I can't sit on this. But I knew you, and I knew that if I said I was going to go back to Mon Ami, which was where our first date was, to go visit Eddie because it was his birthday, I knew you so well even back then that I knew you'd be like, well, I want to come, right? And it was a total setup because I wanted you to come the whole time. Yeah. And I was already somewhat dressed, so I set the tone, so you matched that. And we're going in, and I had called your dad that day. I had to text Alex because I didn't have your dad's number. I called him, and your father's a man of not very many words.
Not at all.
And I'm like, hey, Mike, I'm going to ask, I want your permission. I'm going to ask Angie to be. He was like, I'd be honored. It was awesome. And the only people in the world that knew I was proposing that night were your dad, my dad, and Alex. Mm-hmm. Even Eddie, who I didn't even know would be there. Yeah. No clue. And during the entire dinner, you're grabbing you had your hand, and I'm like, if she feels this ring in my pocket. We had our dinner. It was awesome. You went to the bathroom. I said, Eddie, I'm proposing. He goes, okay. He goes, come back. We'll have a whole thing set up. I'm like, great. We go.
So we walk across the street to the Bellagio fountains. We're standing there waiting for the thing to go off. You could tell there.
No, go for it. I think you should own this fully.
Oh, great. So we're standing there waiting for the fountains to go. And I actually had a stomach ache.
Well, you said, I hope this is a good song, too.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm nervous.
Stomach hurts.
And I'm like, she must know. She's got to know.
I just had to go poop. And I was like, oh my God, my stomach is killing me. He's like, oh my God, she's so nervous. She's got to know.
Song comes on, and I get down. No, I didn't get down on my knee first. I said, hey, I called your dad today.
Yeah.
And
I go, why would you call my dad?
And I said, I asked him if for you to make me the luckiest man in the world or something like that.
Something like that.
And then I opened it up, and it was so cheesy.
It had a little light
It had
on
the
it.
light. It had the light behind it. It lit up. I opened it up, got on one knee, and you didn't even say yes. You just jumped into my arms. There's people clapping. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
And
then I had to go poop.
Yep. And then but when we walked back in, people were like clapping. We did a whole champagne toast. It was a great night.
That was a great night.
And then you would think most people would be like, oh, we'll do a year engagement since we've only been engaged only been dating 6 months. Not Dave and Angie.
Nope. We got married 6 months after that.
I proposed in May. We got married in November.
Yep.
Wild.
I didn't even, like, we planned the wedding with your dad. Your dad paid for everything. He was super, super generous.
Your mom contributed. She helped a little bit, yeah.
And it was the best freaking day ever. It was actually the day before. So that day it started raining. I remember on our wedding day it started raining.
It was overcast, yeah. Because it's November 6th, right? It's always it was daylight saving. So that night when we went to sleep, we were going to gain an hour.
Yep.
And in Vegas, that's usually like when the weather starts turning.
Yeah.
Right?
And we have this beautiful wedding. People come in town from all over the place. And I remember literally going into the wedding. Even before that, what happened?
You got your period the day of our wedding.
Literally, as all my bridesmaids are walking down the aisle, they're already there. My dad's waiting for me at the bathroom, screaming at me, going, hello, they've already left. We need to go. And I was in the bathroom and I had started my period. I was like, motherfucker. All of my bridesmaids are there. I asked my dad, I'm like, do you have a tampon? He's like, do I look like I have a tampon? So I literally had to stuff myself so I wouldn't bleed through my white dress. And I walked down the aisle like shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Couldn't even take a full step. And you even were like, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wild day. But I remember, back to the weather. It was beautiful. It was sunny. It was perfect.
It opened up in the afternoon.
Yes.
For us. By the time we got into the place, it started raining and
windy, and it was a wreck.
It was just for us, right?
Yeah.
And even then, we were like, we don't want a traditional wedding. We did some of the things, but we were like, we want a party. And we didn't even make it through your entire side until it just went. It was one of those great nights. Everyone had a great time. But just to give you an idea, the difference between, like, I had East Coast people there, Italians, East Coast, and Angie had, what'd you have? You had Midwest people, right? And so this is just, it's not to make East Coast people sound better, but it's just a cultural difference, okay? Mm-hmm. So we're going around, and your buddy Tyler has no less than 8 drinks in front of him. And I go, Tyler, why do you have so many drinks? And he's like,
one of my best friends growing up and in high school.
I went to his wedding, and he made the mistake of putting his hand on top of my...
And you almost punched him.
I almost got... Yeah. I'm wacky about that. You don't put your hand on my head, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, you know, the cocktail hour, it was open bar. I wanted to get as many drinks as possible. I said, Tyler, it's open bar the whole night, buddy. He was like, it's just a mentality, right? People were drinking so much. My side, I think, was ordering like 12 shots at a time that they tried to cut off.
They tried to close the bar.
Yeah. And gotta love my father. He was like, you said open bar. I paid for open bar. The bar stays open. and then off we went. It did. And then he gave that great speech. He goes, well, they're going to give us grandkids. And if it's up to Angie, there'll be 5. If it's up to Dave, we'll have 1. We'll see. And here we are, right, with 3 kids. And off we go. And not to minimize what happened afterwards, but the last almost 14 years, because our anniversary is coming up, have been, I mean, a whirlwind of my life. And it's so weird. I'm going to get choked up. For all the ups and downs, it could be like the honor of my life. Like we've had
100%. It just keeps getting better.
And you said it when we started dating. You said, because you know how I can get in my head, you said something like, every 6 months our life is going to be different. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, because we were married in November.
Yep.
We got pregnant with Ella in January. From there, it was literally like baby number 1, 2011.
Moved to Texas.
2012, we opened Urban Nest, which was...
Moved back from Texas,
yes.
Opened Urban Nest.
And then she was not even 10 months old, and I get pregnant with Lo. And then...
New house. We close on the house. Baby number 2, Lola, comes the day after we close on the house.
Literally the day after we close on the house. Yeah, and then even then, it was like raising these 2 little girls, building this business.
Well, even to show how all in, like this is how locked and aligned we've been from day one, I think it's a great story. In April 30th of 2013, Urban Nest at the time hadn't made any money yet. And we were out of all of our reserves. Because we were renting. We came back. We still had your house and we were renting it, but we didn't want to live in there.
We rented my house out, so we couldn't live there, and we rented another house.
We rented a house. We had Ellen, you got pregnant. And we felt like the business would be successful, but you weren't working because we weren't sure yet like how that dynamic was going to be. We were making a little bit of money doing real estate. I was putting all my time into this business. We had all this like commitments and personal guarantees. We had a 9-month-old baby. And then, 18 months, right? She was 18 months at that time, right?
Well, yeah, she was 18 months.
18 months.
Before we
wanted to buy a house, and we found this house, and you were getting frustrated. You were pregnant.
I was ready to settle down and get into a house.
And what did you say every time I didn't like the house?
I said, you don't even want to buy a house.
You're not committed.
Yeah.
The same stuff every girl has ever said to me before you,
okay.
Right? And I said, when I find the one...
You'll know.
And we find this house. It was the first day on the market. And I think it was listed for like $590. And I said to the guy, like, I'll give you $590 and I won't even take a commission, which was like, I think another $18,000. And he was like, give me the weekend. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to let you use my offer to get a better offer. Like, counter me. He counters me 600, right? Cash. Now, mind you, we didn't have 600,000 cash, but I made a 600,000 cash offer.
We had like $50,000
$50,000
cash, yeah.
I had enough just for closing costs. He says yes. I almost screwed it up and counted him $5,000. I said, if I lose this house over $5,000, I'm the biggest idiot in the world. We get it into escrow, and now I have to go find $600,000. So my father gave me a loan with a decent rate, and then I had to go get another $300,000. I managed to find that. Pretty much a hard money loan.
With a really close friend of ours.
Yep. And we basically bought a house cash without cash.
Yep.
So we close on April 29th or April 30th.
Yeah.
You are ready to pop, right?
Literally, yes.
We somehow get the house set up because we're going to leave Ella, our first, overnight with somebody, my dad, because me and you have to be at the hospital.
With my mom or your dad, but we knew that they would have to tag teams. We were like, we need cable, we need everything set up, we need as much done as possible.
And we go in, and out comes Lola on May 1st. So on May 1st, 2013, we had 2 babies in diapers, a new business that was making no money.
And a brand new house that we couldn't afford.
And we had 2 loans on. Leveraged to the tits with not a penny to piss in. You want to talk about all in, baby? Yeah. Oh my God.
It was amazing.
It was hard. I've never felt more alive and wealthy in my entire life.
And it was hard. Those years where they were really little together, it was not always easy.
I joke all the time. I don't even remember 2014. Like it's a blur. The whole year is just gone.
Yeah.
Lowell's first year was wild.
Yeah.
And then things just started happening, and we started building and building and building.
Yep.
And so then we think we're done. We have 2 beautiful girls, and I'm girl dad the whole way. We start living our life, and we start figuring stuff out. We have a trip to Thailand that goes off the rails. when I get anxiety times a million, convince myself because I'm getting bit by all these mosquitoes that I'm going to die of malaria.
Yep.
We go from like, JJ, gotta love him, gets us out of there, gets us to Singapore. We start recovering. I start recovering a little bit. We get out.
Not quite. Because I was like, you want to go back? You're like, nope.
Nope.
I was like, oh.
It
I've
really,
never been so upset, I don't think, in my whole life.
But it unlocked a lot of things. So this is the difference. Like, this is our story. So I don't want to go too much into like our trauma, whatever. But this is one of the things that could have killed us.
Yep.
And we found out why you reacted the way you did, why I reacted the way I did. And we said, you know what? Let's enjoy ourselves. And so we decided, after a little bit of counseling and whatnot, which I love that woman. Remember, like, it was like, I was like, I hate this woman. And I walked out. And then when she
walked out like 3 times.
Then she...
The 3 times we went to therapy.
I only walked out once.
I'm pretty sure you walked out.
I walked out
all
once.
Times.
I felt
I was like,
I felt
see what
attacked.
I'm fucking dealing with here?
But then she found out some stuff about your life, and it was your turn.
I didn't walk out.
You didn't like it very much.
I didn't walk out.
We never went back after that. We decided the answer to this is buying an RV, which was perfect timing because it was like 6 months before the pandemic.
Yep.
But before that, we also decide it's time. Like, why are we putting off? Like, what's the best parts of our life? We love being parents. We love sharing our life. So we decide 7 years after Lola to get pregnant again. This is going to be the boy. Nope.
And I find out that I'm pregnant the day that my everything passed away.
So your everything, I think it's worth mentioning what your mother means,
February
or your grandmother means to you.
February 6, 2020, my grandma, who had been sick for a while, she was, in a nursing home, and we were traveling back a ton just to see her. And every time I'd leave the nursing home, my heart would just drop, and I'd be like, I don't know if that's the last time I'm going to see her. And she was probably the most generous, most loving, most selfless person I've ever witnessed in my life, still to this day. And she had passed away on February 6th. And I remember I was showing a house when I got the news, and I went into the bathroom and I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. And I was like, holy shit, Grandma. And it was in that moment where I was like, you know what? Like, one of my biggest things that I was upset about, like, even just the thought of us getting pregnant and having another baby, is that they wouldn't know her. And I was like, this was her way of saying that she knew her, that they met.
Yeah.
And 2020 was tough.
She was, thank God for Grandma Odie. So our middle daughter, Lola, is named after her. And then our last daughter is Odette, which is...
Gianna Odette.
Gianna Odette,
Yeah, Grandma Odie. And that was a hard year. We lost Charlie.
Pandemic.
I
don't recommend
getting pregnant.
having a wife that's pregnant with a, what did you have? What's it called?
A hemorrhoid.
A huge hemorrhoid. Well, let's just preface this. Men,
this is great for everyone to know.
When your wife says she has a hemorrhoid the size of a ping pong ball and you have to see it and you try to convince her to see it, just don't do it.
I was like, you really don't want to see it.
Like, I'm like, there's no way it's the size of a ping pong. Like, there's no way. And you just imagine her, like, bending over while she's pregnant.
I was sitting for 9 fucking months on the couch.
Oh, my God.
moving.
I can still remember that face. And then I look, and it reminded me of the little guy from that movie Castaway, right? What was it? Wilson. I just wanted to put a little smiley face on it. And I'm like...
He was not happy. It would have been a mad face.
It definitely would have been. It looked angry. He was looking at me. I said, look at me in the eye. I said, don't look me in the eye. so part of me was like, man, I hope it goes back to normal.
Oh my
Full
God.
disclosure, everything's good. She recovers well. Oh, what a shit show. And then we're in all 3 pregnancies, the ups and downs, and doing a pregnancy during the pandemic, and the whole hospital is completely empty.
Oh, that was horrible. Yeah.
And so, then Gigi comes out like the light of our life. And I think, like, this is why this 10-year marriage contract is so important. Because think about the 22-year-old you and the 31-year-old me, and I'm going to be 47 and you're going to be 38. Like, we're the same but different, right?
We've evolved so much more than I even had imagined, right? Like, just personal growth, us together. Like, you think you have these marriages where it's like going to start dwindling. And yet if you keep investing in yourself and you keep investing in your relationship, it just gets better. And like now we have our kids, and like I love fucking hanging out with our kids.
They're
like
the best.
It's just getting better, you know? And I obviously there's hard times and things, but I agree with you. Like who I was at 22 and who I was at 32 and who I am now, those are all very, very different versions of myself. And so I think part of like that 10-year contract and that recommitting to each other and to yourself is so important, because otherwise 10 years goes by like that. Like this was all like yesterday.
I know.
You know?
People ask me all the time, like, how we became so successful in business. And, you know, owning a business for 12 years. And I'm like, I would have quit this job, owning this business 1,000 times if I wasn't so committed to personal guarantees and things that I just could not get out of. Like if I could have walked away from Urban Nest like that many times, I would have.
Oh, I know you would have.
And yet, because I didn't, I was able to get that compounding return and all that success while everyone's jumping from job to job to job to new thing to new thing to new thing. And I feel like that's the way we are. Like I made it, and I think you did too. Like I'm never walking away. I'm so committed to this. And while you're going through the hard times of it, it feels like it's not worth it, or it's a huge cost. But on the other side of it, when you get 12 straight years, if you just can make it through, you get all the fruit.
100%. And you know what it reminds me of is that video that you just watched and I had watched too, and it talks about dear husband, like here's our life and it's fucking chaos, and there's babies and there's diapers and there's feeding and there's sports, and it's pure and utter chaos. And yet it has this whole concept of like, we knew each other before kids, we know each other now. Enjoy the moments now, because we're going to have different versions of each other even then when our kids are no longer in our homes. And it's like, it goes by so fast. And I think it's so important to enjoy right here, right now. And like, I look at us like, and I know you do too, because we have conversations about it, but like, I don't even think we've reached the tipping point of what we can unlock for each other in like every aspect, right? Like whether it's sexual, whether it's mental, like as a family unit.
Spiritual. Yeah,
spiritual. I just think there's so much to uncover and so much to unlock. So I'm excited to do our 10-year contract, our next one.
I love you more today than I did even when I met you.
100%.